Good afternoon. Happy, tasty $2 Tuesdays, or I don't know. Stuff is kind of messed up now, so it might not be $2 to get a drink anymore. Maybe it's probably like more like tasty $10 Tuesdays. All right, but anyway, so you know how we do it. Before we do it, so we start. Let's like, comment, subscribe. You know what? And if you don't feel like doing any of that stuff, just share it with a homeboy, homegirl, and say, hey, listen. You know what I'm saying? Let's listen. This is some of the stuff we talk about, right? So, and also, first, before I start, because some people reached out to me in the last couple of days, I want to give a shout out to my man Carl Williams, my homie Javon from Belmont, and my homie Markeisha down in Delaware. So, now that we got that out of the way, let's go into the title: The Co-Parenthood. All right, so, once upon a time, I thought that, I'd be married, I'd be sitting back, three, four kids. They probably would have been off to college. Everything would have been done by now and everything. But, I said no, no. I waited and I waited and I waited some more. So, I wanted to travel. I wanted to live life. I wanted to have fun. So, I didn't start raising kids or becoming a parent until I was in my early 40s, late 30s. So I said, hey, look, I don't got all the rest of this stuff out of me. All of the playing around, all of the having fun, staying up all night, smoking weed, drinking, doing whatever. And I said, you know what? It's time. It's time. So, God, if you see it fit, send a woman into my life where I can say, hey, listen, this is the one for you. And of course, God probably did send it, but I didn't listen, and I still just did the picking for myself, right? So go through all of this stuff, wind up settling down, and tried to be a good man. You know what I mean? How the girls say, Savannah, he a good man. So I tried to be a good man. And so what I did was, try to build a home with love and support and all of this other kind of stuff. And, around here, we don't play the blame game. So, I'm not going to get too deeply into, well, at least not for this subject, whether it was her, whether it was me, but it was definitely we. And it was difficult for me at times because, I wanted to I didn't want to, come from, because I came from a family of divorce. So I didn't want to put that same thing on my kids, because I wanted them to have a better opportunity. And I'm not saying that they still won't get a great opportunity, but I do think that there is significant value in both parents. And once again, because preferably if they were married, but even if they're still together, just still in the same household. And if they can't be together, still a very regular presence from dad. And the reason why I bring up dad is because got a lot of thorough dads out there, a lot of good dads. But I was doing a little bit of research, so I went to the CDC, the Center for Disease Control. And so you have around 39.8% of women in this country, regardless of race, having children out of wedlock. 39.8%, so we'll round it to 40. So you have a significant number of women who are having children out of wedlock in the United States. Now, out of that 40%, 80% of the children are being raised in single mothered households. So even if that's a mother with the grandmother or whomever else is in that household, or just mother and child. So a lot is being put on the mothers in the country. Only about 16% of those are run by men. And to those guys, hey, look, you deserve a salute and a hand clap from all of us, although it's not what any of us should be expecting anything for being a parent. But it does say something about those men who've decided to step up and say, hey, look, I'm not going to put the whole weight on her or most of the weight on her. Now, we know, because I know some people want to say, well, you know what, he be tripping and such and such and such and such. So I don't want him around my kid, or he mad because I don't moved on. And since I moved on, he just can't handle it no more. Right. You know what I'm saying? Or, for some of the fellas, yeah, dog, you know what I'm saying? I don't want my kids around, you know what I'm saying, this new boy that she dealing with. I don't know, boy. You know what I'm saying? Such and such, such and such. Or, she be out, she be doing such and such and such and such and such. No, dog. No. Because, hey, listen, some of these are some of the feelings that I had, right? From a man's point of view. So we look at that. But as far as being in any co-parenting situation, and I had heard it coming up for many years, from like a lot of my buddies telling me, hey, look, man, this is what I had to go through, man. Yo, man, shorty, she be tripping, dog. You know what I'm saying? I had to go over there. She called the cops to the crib and all of this kind of stuff. And so I would try to give the best advice that I knew how. But the one thing I know, and it's actually something that I learned from my kid's mom, was that she said, until you are actually a parent, you don't know how any of this stuff feels. So, we will argue back and forth and go back and forth. And I'll say, well, look, I worked with kids for a long period of time in my life. I have nieces, nephews. I got cousins, little cousins, and all that other kind of stuff. So you use common sense. And common sense is a big part in any of that other kind of stuff. But you also need some type of real backed experience that comes from your own way of raising kids. Because see, the thing is that, your feelings and your emotions are going to play a huge part as to how you deal with this kid. So I remember I would see kids in the supermarket or somewhere, and I'd say, you know what? I can't believe they just letting that kid run around. I cannot believe that kid is sitting here yelling, screaming, crying, until I got in the supermarket with my two daughters, and they're in there acting a fool, acting crazy, right? And the thing is that now I got to sit in there as this big guy trying to discipline these two little girls in front of supermarket full of people, and this aisle, that aisle, this aisle, that aisle. So at that point, that's when I understood, yes, when you are raising your kids, there's a certain amount of discernment that you have to use, and a certain amount of way that you deal with stuff, or best practices that you use, right? So the other part about being a co-parent is that it becomes tough sometimes, and but as the father, who doesn't have the kids the majority of the time, it is sometimes it's lonely, sometimes it's sad, and it always, in my estimation, feels like a thing of failure. And for all of us, we can't just get up and point out all of the great stuff in life. We gotta be able to look inward and say, hey, look, there's some things that I effed up. And for me, do I feel like at a lot of times I made the right decision? Yeah, I do. But would I do it again? Yeah, I would do it again. And hopefully it would be different results. But that's not the way life works, right? You typically don't get a second chance at your, raising your family, right? So I would say, for me, the sense of failure led to a lot of anger that I had towards my kid's mom. Because not only did I not like how the situation was with me, but I did a lot of blaming her for a lot of the reasons these things turned out to be. And you know how it is. When you're blaming somebody else, you rarely have time to blame yourself. So those are some things that I got to take on the chin and I got to deal with. But of course, and we'll say that for another video. There was a lot of things that I didn't like, and that I thought that were distasteful, or things that just they weren't going to work by the way she was. And I'm telling you, a lot of times with guys, I think women are more based on lines of emotion, which is fine, and that's what makes us both the sexes equally and differently and great, and love and all of that. And men are based, I would say, 90% on respect. If a man does not have respect in his household, and if he stays, a lot of times women start looking at him like a sucker. But then if he leaves, he's left his family. He's failed his family. And as you get older and you start thinking about that kind of stuff, you wonder, you say, like I was saying earlier, what am I? Am I succeeding by leaving? Or am I, because I'm saving myself and, overall saving the emotional welfare of the kids? Or am I just a failure that walked out? But, these are questions that all of us would have to answer. I was talking to another friend, and her and I go back and forth a lot about just different relationship stuff. And I said to her, as far as why there's so many broken homes, especially in the black community, is because a lot of times women know, and this is the one part I will say for women, you kind of know that this guy might have a lot of red flags, but you still continue to go on and have a kid with them. And the big thing I say is that because people always say, well, you get into a marriage, nobody wants to split their stuff. They want out. It's harder to get out of marriage than into marriage. But let me ask a bigger question. How hard is it to get out of a human, right? Once you make that kid, that's a human on earth for presumably the rest of your life and definitely the rest of their life, right? So is it easier for me to get divorced, or is it easier for me just not to have this human from the beginning? Because see, the thing is that when you're co-parenting, unfortunately, you got some people, I'm back with you ladies on this one. A lot of times it's the guys. And some of us, we really need to, because we're about uplifting around here. So if you happen to be one of those guys in that situation, just do some extra things to step up. And it doesn't always mean money. I know that Sixers are doing so bad, they got, and I told a couple other buddies this, they got $2 tickets right now. So you can go see the Philadelphia 76ers for $2. I think they charge you like a little service charge on StubHub. So basically for $25, you can go down and see the Sixers, and you probably can move down closer to the floor. So there are certain things that we can do with our kids, even if we don't have a large amount of money. But as fathers, we still have to make the time. Because I used to tell people, like, think about it. Yeah, I know you might be upset you're paying child support, and some people don't deserve to pay child support. I agree, in total agreement. But the thing is that just imagine being home with a kid all the time. So when that kid gets sick, she has to go to the hospital. When that kid is up in the middle of the night, she has to deal with that kid that's up in the middle of the night. When the kid has to get dressed, ready for school, she has to worry about that. She also has to worry about who's going to pick the children up, who's going to do this, who's going to do that. That is a lot to put on somebody's plate for them to do it by themselves. That's the reason why it takes two to make a child. So therefore, it takes two to raise a child. We have to stop looking at stuff and saying, oh, well, she ain't this and she ain't that, when, she's the main one holding your child down every day, right? And also another issue I found with the co-parenting thing is that, and it's the way it's going to be, because nobody's perfect, right? She'll raise kids, or, your kid's mom will raise kids a certain type of way in her home, and then you're raising them a certain type of way in your home, right? Which very, very, very rarely things are on the same page with the co-parenting. Very, very rarely, right? So then that's when it starts becoming hood. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I can't believe you sent her back over here, and you ain't sent her back in the clothes that she had. Why? I can't believe, why did you sit and let her put water and stuff and wash her hair? I told you not to let her wash her hair. And you start thinking to yourself like, whoa, like, really? This is how we getting with each other? We're cussing each other out. We're going back and forth, getting friends, family members involved over our kids because you don't like the way I've done whatever I've done in my household, or I don't like what you've done in your household. That's when it starts to become the parenthood. Because now we can't agree on things. I even heard women say before, I just wish he wasn't even around. He might as well not be around. And in some cases, I can understand that. I can understand that. But just in closing, I want to say we have to learn how to give grace to each of the other parent. All right. And something we'll talk about someday soon, because I was talking to a buddy last night, and we were talking about the happiness, my buddy Bob, the happiness that women see once those income tax checks come in. Oh my God, it's Christmas again. Christmas and New Year's rolled up into one. Oh my Lord. Now, do they deserve the money? Of course. You know what I mean? We work, you taking care of the kids most of the time. Sure. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. Feast in that income tax return if you get one. Unlike me, who gets nothing. But that's okay. But feast in it if you get it. But if you got a good guy, and I know I've said this before, if you got a good guy, it may not be another Christmas for him, but can you at least make it a good Thanksgiving if he's a good co-parent? If his family does a good job helping out and being a co-parent. Because, really, after you have the kid and you're not together anymore, it's really not about the two of you anymore, as we all know. It's really about the kids, which is a cliched, overused statement. But it really is about the kids, but always turns back into being about the parents. He didn't do this. She didn't do that. I can't stand him. I can't stand her. So, let's just think about that. Are you a part of the parenthood? I'm sorry, co-parenthood? Or do you just feel like you're one of those good parents that just, is able to get along with your other co-parent, for my friends out there that are not married? And to those of you who are married or who have been in long-term unions and raised your kids, hey, you know what? You deserve a special shout out. But until next time, tell me what you think. See what some friends think. And we'll talk about it at a later date. Appreciate you.